welcome to M.A.D House, a new YouTube channel concentrating on mental illness. Myself, I am Ben Lloyd. I am in UK. Hello. I also run a channel called FIFA Save My Life. There would be links below, but we're not worrying about that today. And I have a lovely co-host, far better looking than me, over in the States. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Riv. I run a channel called DID MomVlog, focusing mostly on mental health and my own diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder.
Right, so how this is going to work is basically we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about our experiences with mental illness. Both of us are currently suffering, and we go from there. The whole aim of the channel, as far as I'm concerned, and Riv is and anybody else who comes on this, is I want people to watch it and understand that, yes, there's a stigma out there, but there doesn't need to be a stigma out there. You need to be open, honest. It is the hardest thing in the world to talk about sometimes, but honestly, when you start, it's good for you. And hopefully you can see guys like ourselves talking about it and understand that nothing happens bad when you do. And in fact, some good things can happen from it. And hopefully we're not doctors, so we're not going to give medical advice on this channel. But what we are going to give is hopefully examples of how we're suffering, or how we've suffered, how we're being treated, how we're getting out of it, how we're still in it. And again, hopefully make you feel a little bit more normal, and again, hopefully encourage you to go talk to someone, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a friend, family member. Anybody is better than nobody. So that's the aim of the channel, and that is where we're coming from. So hopefully this helps somewhere along the line. So I want to talk to my guest first and foremost. Tell me all about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm a 23-year-old mom. I was a teen mom at one point. I have two wonderful little boys. I was diagnosed last year with dissociative identity disorder. It was therapy since I was 12 years old, and my diagnoses have been all over the place. It never stuck to one thing. It always changed nonstop. So when I kind of got a definitive diagnosis, it was almost more of a relief than it was anything else. But yeah, so I've been dealing with that the last year.
So with your disorder, what exactly is it? How does it affect you?
Okay, so dissociative identity disorder, or DID, is a trauma-based disorder. It starts in childhood, usually before the ages of 7 to 9, and it's due to repeated abuse, neglect, or trauma at that age. It usually, oh goodness, it's really just basically a protecting mechanism or a coping mechanism that the mind starts to develop, because at that age you don't have a integrated consciousness or self. There's no core personality yet, and so when there is repeated trauma, instead of integrating at the age of 9 like you're supposed to, it puts up amnesia walls and creates alters or other personalities to be able to help protect and cope through whatever trauma or abuse you're going through.
Right. And so how does it affect you in today's world?
Well, so besides myself, there's kind of like 10 other people up here, and we kind of switch out pretty regularly. It's very confusing sometimes. Dissociation in general can be really confusing. Even though dissociation in general is pretty normal, everyone goes through dissociation. It's kind of just like staring off into space, just feeling like you're losing time, kind of. This is more of the extreme level, so that never really feels good to begin with, because you kind of just feel like you're floating away or you're watching everything through a projector. So that isn't fun to begin with. No. But then when you have other people kind of coming forward in your body, and you have to kind of share your body with other people, and not necessarily do always remember, because for myself, I have mostly amnesia barriers up with everybody else. So if someone else comes forward, I have no clue what they've done. So it could be kind of scary, because it feels like you kind of have like this loss of control over yourself.
So is that person that comes through, do they do they act different than you, or are they just a different existential version of you? Or
well, everyone really has their own opinion on it. Some people say that there's a core personality, and that like the host, which is myself, I'm the host of my system, is the core, and everybody else is just split off of it. But personally, I kind of like the scientific theory, which is basically there is no core personality. We're all just kind of there due to what happened. They all have different ages, different names. They have different personalities. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
again, I suppose people who don't know, and again, I'm not massively familiar with this side of mental illness, which is part of the whole reason of the channel now, is to learn about things like this, because I've got boring depression, which most people don't. That's nice and easy to describe, but things like this are not only interesting, but people should understand how people like yourself have to cope with it, and on what sort of effects that has on your life, if you like. So I suppose the most I guess famous version of that at the moment is like someone like Split, or
Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of Split or any of those movies, just because I feel like it makes more of a stigma towards the disorder. There have been so many people that as soon as they found out I had it, they're like, so are you dangerous? Do you turn into like a monster or something? Are you gonna go on a killing rampage? I'm like, no, not. I'm good. I'm not gonna kill anyone. So I feel like those kind of just create more of a stigma. But I guess that's really what everybody only really knows is just like these.
But at least it raises the identity of it a little bit, so people kind of go, oh, it's a thing.
Usually I really just, with my YouTube channel, I try to just bring awareness, kind of just show what it's like to be me every day. There's a lot of other really great YouTube channels out there kind of trying to bring awareness to dissociative identity disorder as well. And if someone comes up to me, whether it's them actually being curious about the disorder, or they just want to be, kind of an asshole about it, I just try to be as calm as possible and kind of let them know what it is, because honestly, it's just a really advanced way of your mind coping with something.
Yeah.
So.
And how have your YouTube followers sort of dealt with it? How have you felt you've educated them, or is it, are you getting sort of negative stuff come back, or how?
I think so. I've yet to get anything negative on YouTube, which is great. Yeah. It's just a lot of support and a lot of love, and it's wonderful because it kind of helps my my alters, or my headmates, if you will, kind of feel more comfortable with being themselves, because beforehand it was just a lot of me trying to keep myself busy so no one else will come out, and then if I lose time and someone else did come out, I just freak out. So it's kind of like we're more comfortable with one another. I think actually having a YouTube has helped me accept myself and everybody else that's in my system as well.
Oh, brilliant. So well done, YouTube. And again, obviously one day we'll get onto my story, but it does help massively. I agree. Funny or anything you've shared with your YouTube, it's gone down really well, or
I've actually had a couple of Meet the Alter videos so that people can kind of see what they're like too. It is kind of very interesting for myself too, because I'm still, as my YouTube is like kind of learning about me, I'm also still learning about me. So there's a lot of like funny things. Like I have she's pretty okay with this, but I have one of my headmates. She's 15. She's very bubbly and happy. I'm usually pretty monotone. I'm very smiley now, but I'm usually pretty just very chilled and laid back, especially when the kids are around, because if I'm too hyper, then they're too hyper. It's just not a good mix. But like she's this hyper bubbly 15-year-old with bubble pink hair. And it's just whenever she is out and you're able to see the difference, she'll do like just makeup is all pink related in general. It's very cutesy. Our hair is up in pigtails and wow, buns and things like that. It's just a huge difference.
And what's her name?
Her name's Jen.
Jen. Okay. That's for me, it's fascinating. I think it's amazing. So, and again, you almost sound like it's almost like a friend at this side.
Almost. I kind of have, with because I do have a few that are a little bit younger that I'm not 100% comfortable talking about all of them, but they are a little bit younger. I kind of feel like almost protective of them because they're so much younger than I am. So I feel like I have to kind of protect them from the world or judgment or anyone coming to us with stigmas or something. So yeah.
But Jen's one that you seem to sort of have an acceptance of, and you're both sort of living together, I suppose. Is that
kind
the
of,
right
yeah,
way?
She kind of likes to, our system in order to be able to get through the day without forgetting anything is just there's schedules all over the house. I have schedules all over my walls just in case. I have alarms that go off on my phone nonstop.
Yeah. God bless technology.
So like if someone else is out when I'm not, at least there's a list of chores to get done at some point. And she's usually pretty great with everything. It's if I know I'm losing time and I know she's coming forward, I know chores will get done. I know the kids will be taken care of. I know things will be okay. There'll be a lot of Taylor Swift being played, but I can deal with that.
Is that? I'm guessing that's not your normal taste.
Yeah.
So again, I'm asking questions, and you're more than welcome to say no. But this stick with Jen and yourself. If you're listening to your style of music, can you feel Jen almost disapproving and going, "No, I like Taylor Swift," or vice versa, or how does it work?
Yeah. I try to kind of keep my playlist even with everybody, which means my playlist just looks like I have mood swings all the time. But everyone has their taste on their playlist, be it oldies and stuff from the 80s or Taylor Swift and Demi Lovato. But I can kind of tell, or like if someone's kind of pushing forward, I'll kind of have like an inkling for something different, and I can kind of feel what they would want instead. It's kind of sort of like having like thought bubbles almost thrown at me. Yeah. I'll hear a thought and I'll know it's not my thought because I know I wouldn't think that. So yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So again, how are they? You're talking about you've got 2 young children. How do you feel with that? With when they're coming forward and that, and how do the children? Do they notice, or are they? Because they're quite young, obviously. Yeah. How do they notice, or how does that work?
Well, I used to be a lot more nervous about not 100% being there with my kids around because they're my children, obviously. Yeah. But I think I've become somewhat comfortable with a few of my headmates, so I'm kind of okay with some of them coming around as long as I know it's them. And my children don't really seem to notice. They know mommy just becomes either a little bit more hyper than usual, or a little bit more serious than usual. Nothing really phases them, though. They're just, yeah. I think at one point they have told me that they wanted like Fun Mommy to come back so they could play with her. And I automatically knew it was Jen. And I'm just like, oh goodness, what has she done with them?
Again, I'm excited now because this is something I've never talked about, so excuse me if I am, sort of asking loads of questions, but I think it's really interesting. If I'm, really interested, hopefully everybody else is really interested, and I massively appreciate you being honest with it. But do you find, is there stuff that's been bought before where you've gone, where the hell's this come from?
Yes,
I'm just imagining scenarios now, and again going, wow, what happened to, where's this PlayStation come from? I can imagine stuff
there have been a few times. Usually we try to, well, now at least. Before it was kind of a little chaotic where everyone was kind of not working together, and so because no one was working together, nothing really either got done or things got bought when they shouldn't have been. But now we kind of try to like have a little council before we make a big decision. Which I haven't been great with because I chopped all my hair off without asking anyone, and people were not happy. There was a lot of disapproving and a lot of, I found notes everywhere telling me how much they hated our new hairstyle. But so yeah, I can't do that anymore. But there have been times where like I've found like new makeup palettes, like all in pink, like pink makeup palettes. Had a violin, like bought at some point, just delivered to our house. So I was just like, oh, okay, I guess we're playing the violin now. We've had just little, odds and ends, scented candles or new books or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't remember buying this, but all right, I guess we have this now.
Did you just ask around and go, right, okay, who was this?
I know, I have a journal, so I'll kind of write in it, also, this was delivered to the house. Can we not buy things without asking first?
It sounds amazing. It sounds like, so obviously to a certain degree you're coping with it by the sounds of it, which is amazing because you do, you are clearly got a grip of it by the sounds of it. How long did that take? Because
it took so long. I was in denial for so long. I thought I was just crazy for a really long time. And there were so many things pointing to it. I had a psychologist before my recent one had brought up dissociative disorders with me in general, and they were looking into it, but I had left the state due to circumstances. So my new psychologist, we were going through it and we were working through it, and she kind of mentioned it. We started doing testing for it, and I was just like, this isn't real. I'm just crazy. I'm just insane. That's just really what it is. And a lot of the time I was just scared to tell her what was going on because I had also personally grown up in a community where just mental health was taboo. You didn't talk about it. It was immodest. It was not okay to talk about. If something was going on with you, you swept it under the rug and you didn't tell anyone about it. You dealt with it by yourself. So I was just terrified that I was going to tell her, I hear voices in my head, and she was just going to call someone and they were going to lock me up and take me away. That was literally what I thought was going to happen.
Which I suppose isn't encouraging you to come out and go, right, this, so people can treat it, I suppose, So what was the turning point? When do you remember when it kind of went, right, okay, it's beginning to get better, or I'm now I now understand what it is, or when was that?
So, I think it was actually when I finally turned to YouTube. It was before I started my channel, but there was a lot of DID systems. A system is, what I would be considered with my alters. There were DID systems that have YouTube channels, and they were talking about it, and they were kind of showing themselves in their alters, and they were giving actual information from the DSM-5, and they were explaining things in a really well way. And I was just like, I'm not actually alone. And before that, it was just a lot of crying. It was just a lot of crying all the time. I was devastated. My husband had no idea what to do with me. He was just sitting there it's okay. It's all right. He's like, it's not okay.
Would it help to meet other people with the same disorder, or?
I think maybe it would be, I would love to at one point meet other systems. I think that would be great. Right now, there's a lot of support groups online that I'm a part of that kind of helps. If I have questions, I can ask other people. Or if I'm just going through something and I need validation that I'm not the only one going through it, that helps as well. Just being like, am I crazy? And everyone's like, no, I do it too. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. So they help so much. Just having the communities on YouTube also just really helps. YouTube has a great DID community. Twitter has a great DID community, just being able to talk to other people. But I haven't really been able to kind of, find anyone in my area that is going through the same things. I'm one of my psychologist's only case. She's So, yeah.
So again, obviously for yourself, how's family, friends, all the rest of it? Because that was one of my big changes. Was that how's that developed for yourself?
I was terrified to tell them because it's not like mental health wasn't something that we're familiar with in my family. We're all too familiar with mental health when it comes to my family. But I was really scared to tell them because I just didn't know how they were going to react to it. And some of them reacted really, really positively, and they're like, we're here to support you, we'll help let you know, but neither myself nor my alters are really comfortable talking to them about them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of just as far as that's gone. I do have other relatives that are kind of just no, you just have bipolar or something. You just have mood swings. This isn't real. I have lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends. When I tried to come out to really close friends that I've had for years, since I was 10, 11 years old, they just kind of was no, this is too crazy for me. I'm going to go now. And it was really devastating for a really long time. I think that was a big reason why I wasn't accepting of myself or my altered disorder or anything, just because I felt like it was just going to continuously ruin my life, because I was just losing friends and I was depressed and I just wanted to hide under my blankets in my bed all day, and I just didn't want to do anything, and it made it really, really difficult. And then that's when I kind of started my YouTube channel, and it kind of just helped me be able to just be like honest about everything. I think I've cried on camera once or twice, but
nothing wrong with that.
I know that's a huge YouTube.
You've not made it on YouTube until you've cried on camera.
Yeah, I know you're not supposed to, but I definitely have. So, there's a lot of different ideas and theories about when it comes to DID, when it comes to it being cured or not. Some people say that the only cure is integration, which is basically working with the therapist to integrate all the alters back into yourself, so you become one instead of being multiple. Some people just don't want integration, which is totally okay. I personally right now don't want integration just because I'm just learning about them. I feel like it would be almost disrespectful to force them into integrating when like we don't even really know each other that well yet. It sounds funny. It sounds like I'm talking about other people, but I mean they are other people to me. So
but also I think that that's really good in the fact that you like I said earlier on, you've clearly come to terms with it to a certain degree, and you've got this respect. You definitely, I can get this respect vibe. You know, we've only met now. You know, we've not had hours of conversation and that, and I can certainly pick up this sort of respect vibe that you have for, you know, the others, and you know, in there, that without upsetting them, and for yourself that's obviously keeping the status quo as well. You know, that's obviously helping you sort of keep it, and also
for most of my girls, and I say most of my girls because I do have a few male alters, most of my girls have very long hair to what, you know, how they see themselves. So me chopping it all off when it was just reaching waist length, we weren't happy. And there was just, it felt like I had a lot of yelling in my head for a really long time. It wasn't quiet. I had to continuously blare music to try and drown it out. So yeah.
So okay, you've said something really interesting there. So you have men alters as well?
Yes.
Wow. So does
I
that
think
feel
anything really goes? I mean, like, I've heard people that have animal alters. I've heard people that have inanimate object alters. It's really just whatever your brain thought that you needed to have in order to deal with whatever you were going through. So anything really goes, quite honestly.
Does that mean you feel more, it feels like a man, or yeah? So
yeah, my boys have actually quite a lot of dysphoria, like gender dysphoria, when they're in the body. They're very uncomfortable because I'm very much female and they're very much male. So it's just, it's hard to balance with them. We still haven't kind of figured out what to do to make them feel comfortable. Besides the no makeup rule when they're out, and I'm not allowed to get my nails done anymore.
Try pee standing up. We love that.
I'll pass it along. There's no exact medication for DID. It's really just giving medication to help whatever other symptoms that you have, because you can have other things along with DID. So personally, I'm on medication for anxiety and depression, and that just kind of helps. When I wasn't on medication, I guess the anxiety triggered more of switches. So having some kind of anxiety medication, having that kind of under control kind of helps a little bit. I still switch out kind of almost daily. But it helps at least me feel like I'm not going to jump out of my skin and freak out.
I love the fact that I'm getting this overwhelming sort of protection, which might be because you're a mother, and you've got that nurturing thing going on anyway. But also you've got this massive respect, which I think, you know, comes across in the fact that you're obviously coping with it much better than I would, by the sense of it. I'm sure.
Well, I feel like at this point I've kind of come to an understanding that they were there to protect me, And so I feel like it's only kind of right for me to now kind of protect them from whatever the outside world kind of throws at us, because they helped me through whatever I was going through. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the trauma and abuse. And I know that a lot of them do have memories of the trauma abuse that I don't. So, you know, the fact that they can hold that and protect me and deal with that, and some of them still deal with like flashbacks and stuff like that. And I just feel like it helped me survive to where I am now.
I'm massively impressed with you in the fact that how well you're coping with something like this, and at the same time how bubbly you are with it, and just everything. You know, it is completely different. I try putting myself in that shoes, and how would I cope? And I can't deal with just this person,
because it's, like I said, growing up, it's just something you never really talked about. So I know so many people that are going through their mental illnesses by themselves, or it took them like a really long time to reach out and get help because they didn't want to talk about it, or they were ashamed of talking about it. They were scared of talking about it. I have lost a lot of friends to suicide as well. So I just feel like if we could come out and talk about it and say this is normal, everyone not everyone, but most people go through this. You're not alone. Then I think if it just helps one person, I'd be really happy about that.
Yeah. You know, if one person watches it and goes, right, okay, I can talk to people, you know, if they can, then I can, and goes to the doctor. That's the big thing. It took me far too long to go to the doctor. That was my big thing. And I'm kicking myself every day because of it, and thinking, well, what would have happened if I'd gone sooner?
But yeah, so March 5th is DID Awareness Day. So I just really wanted to talk about it, which I did, which is great. And you've been more than understanding and amazing about it. You've been a great host. Just because I have come across a lot of people that are just like, no, that's weird. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to retreat within myself now.
No, I think it's fascinating. And again, from my personal point of view, I massively appreciate your candor and being very honest with it. I know sometimes it's not the easiest thing. And I know you've obviously been talking on your own YouTube channel, but just to talk to, which I am, it obviously is DID Awareness Day, and I am massively aware. And, you know, I probably only touched the top of the iceberg with it. But for me, it's helped me massively understand it. And, you know, it's a massive eye-opener to me. It really is. And I think it's great. I think it's great. And again, I want to reiterate how well you deal with it by the sounds of it. And that's amazing. And, you know, that's something that I hope you carry on doing your YouTube channel. I hope you keep on coming back here as often as you want. You're more than welcome. And sort of tell us how you're getting on. And one day, by all means, if Jen or someone else wants to come on and give us a chat and that, we're here for all of you, and more than welcome, because, you know, that's what we're here for. But again, keep up the good work. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I had a great time talking to you. You made it very easy.
First time that's ever been said. Right. Right, I would speak to you very soon.
Bye, thanks.